Good evening, everyone. Dadman Walking 55 here. We're about 3 minutes past the hour of 9 on the East Coast. Hey, we're having fun. We have some little technical problems in the background. Thank you for your patience. But we also got great guests here already ready to go with 5 of y'all out here, some lurkers. Hey, but let's get into the meat and action tonight because we're going to be kind of be succinct with this a little bit tonight and stuff because I'm thinking of doing something fun and sporadic. I guess sporadic. I should have said spontaneous after the stream at about 10:45 Eastern. So let's get into these episodes tonight. Let me introduce the great JT Kirk and Hungry Boy. Hey guys, how are y'all tonight?
Hey.
Hola, folks. Hola.
Oh my goodness. So we missed you last week, JT. Good to have you back with us this week.
Yeah, so sorry I was gone. I had an important matter to attend to, but hey, I am back.
Yes, and we're going to talk about last week for just a few minutes to give you a chance to talk about some of your general thoughts with last week before we go into this week's episodes. And of course, the great Hungry Boy. Hey, Hungry, how are you tonight?
A little bit of sleep problems, but very happy to be here amongst good friends and people that enjoy good television and during a time of excellent community. And that just means a lot to me, particularly at this time of the year. Thank you, sir.
All right. Definitely. I retweeted that we're live out there. Folks, our friend Daisy Blossom is going to try to work to catch up with us, but we're working on some things on that end. But hey, we're going to get started and have some fun right now tonight. So with this, we got 70 y'all watching. We're only on the YouTube side tonight. We have to take care of some other matters and arrangements on the Twitch side. We've taken care of some security issues here on the YouTube side. So thank y'all for everybody being here. Let's get into Buck Rogers. Let me say hi real quick with everybody that we got here. Corey Cochran, what up, y'all? Hey, going well, my friend. And yeah, work went, and I actually got out of work early today because I just said, screw it, I'm going home. Actually, I was working from home, but I just, I was checked out. So hey, how that
Did
goes?
you say it like Eric Cartman?
Screw you, I'm going home.
There you go.
Screw you home. Anyway, yep. Good to see you, JT Kirk here. Mr. Angel, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And hello back to you.
Hey, Mr. Ray.
Thor,
all right.
Thor is here tonight. Hey, Thor. Hey,
Mighty
Thor.
Thor.
Hey, Thor. If you're not doing something at about 10:45, if you want to jump on a show, type it out in the mat and the thing, and I'll send you a link in an email because we're planning on doing a late night with friends later tonight. So if you're in a mood to talk, if you're able to talk, let me know here in the chat, and I will then send you the link. Okay. So hey, and of course we had the great JT, and will be here with us while Hungry Boy will be a bit. Masters, how are you, my friend? Yes.
Hooray for Masters.
We are an important matter to attend to. The crew will sink the ship without a captain. Absolutely. So you got to have a captain. But hey, we got 9 great people with us tonight. Thank y'all for there. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're at 526. We might do it. Let's see. Here we go. Daisy?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
We can.
Oh, it's a Christmas miracle. Oh.
Never give up. Never give up. Always
never
have
give
hope.
Up. Never surrender.
Never surrender. Yes.
The only thing is, don't say it like, because Richard Simmons' exercise video had that kind of one time, never give up or something like that. And I did the exercises so much, I kind of said it to her when she was delivering my first kid. I'm like, never give up. She's like, quit quoting Richard Simmons to me. Yes.
You said hilarious. Richard Simmons. I pictured
Simmons.
Gene Simmons.
No.
Oh, God.
See, you can quote Gene Simmons to me anytime.
Yeah, exactly. So it's okay. So like I said, Steve, if you be up for something earlier, let me know and I will send you the link via email. But just a yes or no. If you're not, I understand because I know you're a busy guy there. So hey, and Corey Cochran is referring to something today. Has Mrs. recovered from her stream this morning? Yes, but she's still completely humbled and so touched because Several people came through this morning in the chat on the Twitch side. She is now monetized on the Twitch side. Thank you for everybody that watched over there. She received over 35 gift subs today, which is a pretty good payday. And just the support that was shown to her today after a really wild day yesterday, which I'm not going to go into, but there was a lot of stuff yesterday. So she was emotional today. It just really involved, and it all touched her. The support of her community, the support of the people that are over there. So, folks, if you're with me, you're here, and you have not checked the missus out, please go check. JT, can you throw her link in there for me real quick? Go support her. Subscribe to her on YouTube here first. And if you have a Twitch, follow her over there too, folks. But that shows you how much she loves her people, because what they did today, she was emotional, and it meant a lot to everybody. And it was just a beautiful thing to see. And Corey, I'm glad that you were there to see it too, my friend. And Buddy Hepburn, you sweating at the audience again. Not now, not anymore. I used to many years ago. I like those stupid videotapes, those workouts. I thought they were pretty good. They were really involved. So, oh gosh, Mr.
fun.
Angel, the Gene Simmons workout video, how to bench press 150 pounds with your tongue.
Yes.
Yes.
And 300 pounds with your ego. Yes.
Gotta have ego, though. You're a rock star. You know, my world has been rocked upside down a little bit this week. You know why, Hungry and JT?
Why is that?
Because we have a drummer, and not just a drummer on our panel. We got somebody that likes some heavy metal, apparently, like 9 Inch Nails and like stuff that is so out of character from what I expect of a nice, proper British lady. You know, it's like
I have claws.
it's so good to see. I love it.
I take those claws and I whittle my own drumsticks.
I know that.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, folks. Yes, you do. Hey, but hey, Cat's got them. So, hey.
Just thank you, chat. Thank you, my fellow panelists, for putting up with the technology craziness in the back.
You're barely late, lady. Come on, cut yourself a break. You're like, we're not even 5 minutes on air.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm late. By Hollywood standards, you're early, so that's fine.
Right.
I'm sorry. The British are like, we don't. 30 seconds past when you were supposed to be is
I know
late.
Craft Services is still trying to get past security. I mean, you are that early, okay?
Oh man, when you say craft services, I'm thinking about tonight's first episode, dude. But we gotta hear about your opinions on last week's stuff first. Dadman made that very clear.
Yes, please.
And
let's do
those were
that.
better episodes.
Well, let's do
shall we?
that first. Let's do that first. We'll get right into that, folks. We're going to look back at last week's, which was Unchained Woman. The first one was Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, where Buck was sent to rescue her from a prison colony to come back to testify against a criminal syndicate and some corruption and stuff. So, JT, what did you think with that episode?
Unchained Woman?
Yeah.
First and
Unchained
foremost,
Woman. Yes.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a fun adventure to be had out in the desert and then in kind of an Old West type of town. I did really love the robot, the android that was going after them. It gave me thoughts. Yes. Hugo gave me thoughts of the Gorn with Kirk kind of fleeing, that kind of fun and excitement to the story. Some of the we've got you. No, we've got you. No, we've got you. That got a little bit old. I was like, okay, how many times are they going to do like the Mexican standoff routine here? That got a little tiresome towards the end, but overall, I did enjoy the intrigue, the sense of adventure, and I love that they did not use the same section of California desert that everybody else in Hollywood uses. It looks like they might have gone to Nevada. You know, a little bit of effort. So that was kind of cool to see them film at a different location. I would watch that again. I know we don't really give a rating, but I did enjoy it. It wasn't my favorite of all the episodes, but I think Buck really steals the show, and really shines there.
Right.
Having Wilma trying to rescue him, and then they're kind of like rescuing each other. Didn't quite do it for me. Didn't quite, but
yeah, I agree. What I loved in that episode was how nobody gave a crap. They kept walking over everybody. Like when he's like, they're like, nobody cares about you, and then they keep minding their own business. Or like when the android's in the ground, it's like everybody keeps walking over the android, just like, like nobody cares. So let me say hi real quick. Love Happiness, welcome in tonight, and says hello. Just want to say happy holidays to you and your family. Happy holidays to you and your family also. Hey, we're in the middle of a great week of Christmas stuff. On Tuesday we talked to Alaska Jeff about Christmas and stuff. Oh, it's Yolanda. Hey Yolanda, thank you.
Hey Yolanda.
Oh, hey, this lady's great and positive. She follows me on Twitter also. So great to see you, Yolanda. And all the best to your family. Also, Tuesday night we talked to Alaska Jeff. Wednesday night I have to edit Wednesday night stream a little bit before I can put it back public. But last night we spent 3 hours with Squeak and Mouse celebrating holidays and Christmas traditions and stuff. So go back and check that if you have not seen those. And to everybody, we're going to talk a little bit tonight with Buck Rogers. Then we're going to do an after party later at 10:45 and probably hit on some Christmas things. Tomorrow, the missus and I will be doing a gingerbread house, and then on Sunday at 3 Eastern, Miss and I will be with Masters, and we're going to celebrate a German Christmas with him. So the Christmas week festivities are just beginning, and we will take, just keep plugging away with us. So, and yes, you take care. Good to see you again. All right, with this episode, that was one thing that got me, was that the fact, I think it was they were telling, Jamie Lee Curtis character was telling Buck, he's like, or no, it was Deering. Deering's like, well, you got all these people around, and the other guy's like, they don't care. It was like, nobody cared, and I thought that was a neat touch of realism in a Wild West type town like that.
Oh yeah. And I just love that the town was a little bit different of a setting than some of these other generic space bar number 7 type settings. This episode was much more open, and I like that, because a lot of the sets are not that way on this show, and it can feel a little claustrophobic. And sometimes the best background is just going and shooting on location. You don't have to worry about, did we put enough in this scene to make it look believable or lived in? So anyway, shall we move on to Planet of the Amazon Women?
Daisy or Hungry, do y'all have anything to throw in on that from what he said?
Oh no, let's just keep rolling with JT giving his opinions. I'm not speaking for Daisy, just myself. So if Daisy's comfortable with that.
Daisy, did you have anything?
Yeah. Nope. Let's go.
Okay. No, I did. I did. I thought it was I think it was a fun episode too. Like you said. So that's a good summary. So then the next was the Planet of the Amazon Women. So what do you think there with that? Well, briefly to people, basically Buck comes up on the 2 ladies in a ship with a distress to call, escorts them to the planet, then gets captured, and then we find out it's mostly women on the planet, and they're trapping men to trap on the planet to be used in an auction to be bought by the other women of the planet to mate and whatever else, and then we find out what happened is that they were in a war, most of the men were captured or died, and part with another planet, and then it all resolves at the end. Kind of a short thing for you there. So JT, what did you think with this one?
I was not a fan. I don't know if the rest of you were. I was not. Some of the things that I really have a problem with start with the premise. Even in war, if you look at the worst wars out there, to have 99+% of your men just completely gone, no army has suffered that kind of casualty on a nation state war scale. And so to just say all your men are gone, I don't buy it. And they would still have enough men, even if they lost the war, because they would not have won or lost and then somehow lost that much of the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no scenario that I could see where this was a plausible scenario. Secondly, if they really were that short on men, they would have started falling critically short far before then and started putting women into the military. So this idea that they totally don't have any of these skills, didn't buy that either. Thirdly, they could have been importing men long before they went to zero.
Mm-hmm.
So, and why they have to capture them and fool them in the way men are, you're going to find enough men to go and donate the necessary genetic material voluntarily. You're not going to need to do this. And you could screen out for whatever traits you want. You could go crazy with that and be just fun.
Mm-hmm. And they also were already doing studies into artificial insemination by 1979. So if you're looking 500 years in the future, it's kind of a no-brainer that this would not be a problem.
Right.
And in addition to that, if you need immediate men, look at the women who were bidding on Buck in that room, in the auction room. I mean, how many millions of men would want to marry women who looked like that, who had 10 times the man's income? No brainer, not a problem.
Exactly. You basically don't have to do anything in that relationship, right?
Right. It's what Hollywood used to call plot magic. It's just plot magic.
That by Snoo yes.
Nice one.
The only really thing I did like about this overly preachy and implausible episode was the Quatloos scene, and the only thing that was missing was the necklace with the two odd shaped polygons on either side.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
It was a goulash of ripoffs, but yeah. Go ahead.
I'm all set. I've said my piece.
Nicely done. Very concise but apt. Thank you.
Well, see, I kind of liked that episode. I thought it was actually not too bad. I thought they did.
I'm laughing at you. You're fine.
But you know,
he's
I'm
our
also
pew king, dude. He's our pew king, JT. You gotta let him like.
But I'm also like the guy that likes the Marvels and some others like that, and things that like to cause some controversy. I still think Darth Maul died permanently to never be raised again. So, but you know, I found it. Yeah, when you think about it like those terms, you're probably right.
This is not a thinking television show, dude. So don't worry about it. I'm on both of your sides, and I'm Daisy's side. It doesn't matter.
I was fine with it. I was like, okay, I can live with this. I really, you know, it's sometimes I think we have to suspend realism and seriousness to be able to enjoy stuff. Because if we're not, we're going to always be over analyzing, over critical with everything. But I mean, I can't argue against your points. I mean, they're valid, and if they are what keep you from enjoying it, then yeah, absolutely.
Are you saying you have to have different strokes in terms of attitude?
Oh, don't.
Oh, jeez.
Well, with that, let's segue into this. Different strokes can result in a little kid president that's 500 years old. Oh, no, wait.
Nope.
What is it? Yeah.
493.
Who's counting?
Thank you.
Who's counting? Oh, my gosh. Yes, this week's first episode is 1.11, but on on IDBDM or whatever it's called, it's episode 9 because we start getting them all bounced out of order now.
Yeah, I know.
Is the Cosmic Whiz Kid. No, he's not the peeing bear on the fountain that somebody wants this is to have bought for her to build together. No, it's one of the urinating bears. There's a build out there on that throne of a bear that's using the bathroom.
Okay.
Is this a water fountain or a Lego?
It's a Lego. Fountain? It's a block build.
Okay.
It's a block build. Yes, there is such a thing. So yes, exactly.
Well, it was more interesting than this episode. I mean, so whatever you'd like to talk about.
Well, this might be the quickest episode review that we've done in a long time because this to me was. Well, let me talk about it a little bit, and then I'll give you my thoughts on when we can squirrel around from there. Okay. The president of the planet of Genesia is no ordinary president. He's a 493-year-old child genius, Hieronymus Fox. Originally from Earth's 20th century, he developed advanced cryogenics technology and had himself frozen before the nuclear holocaust. After being revived in the 25th century, Fox helped a struggling Genesia colony, and they made him their leader. Political dissident named Roderick Zell kidnapped him for ransom and held him on Aldebaran 2. Sounds like Alderaan. The president's bodyguard, Lieutenant Dia Kirton, appeals to Earth's directorate to help rescue him, but officially Earth cannot help. So then she enlist Buck, who's only way too eager to meet somebody from his own time. This episode was, like I said, number 11, directed by Leslie H. Martinson, and written by Alan Brennert and Ann Collins. Aired originally November 15, 1979, episode 53414.
Well, the Ann Collins part is a good part. But...
And basically, a little more detail, Buck was going to take a vacation. Why he wasn't taking Wilma, I don't know. But, dude, come on, Buck. It's just like Dina Meyer and Starship Troopers. Dummy, stupid.
He was meeting Tangi.
Oh God!
Yes, that's correct.
But why not?
Who he had met in the previous episode. But Tangi was pretty nice.
Anyway, Wilma. But so basically, we have the technology and all that. So he's there. He gets kidnapped in a way himself, really, with the way this is done. So that's where it is. This episode to me really was kind of like we're going to have a special guest star and just kind of put him in here in a way. Because like I said, it starts with the lieutenant and the president together, and then you see the kidnap, but they don't kill the lieutenant. They just kind of knock her out, and then run off with him, and then the lieutenant goes to Dr. Huber and Colonel Deering to ask for help. They tell you why Earth can't get involved. Now we also see back on a planet where he. It was Roderick Zell. Zell was saying, "Hey, well, we'll kill you after so much." And even Fox says, "I'm worth more to you alive than I am dead. You're not going to kill me," and this, that, and the other. So we see a lot of back and forth. But then it basically, I think, it essentially falls into really, Buck helping the lieutenant rescue him, and it was kind of like then they're both captured back. It just was really kind of meandered. And then all of a sudden, like I was when I was watching it, and all of a sudden you get to a spot where it just kind of ended. It was like near the end, and it was and they just ended up back on Earth. But let me let y'all talk about it. Where do y'all want to start with this one? I've kind of given a running. This one really was just a whole bunch of. I think it was well written for what it was, but it really didn't have a lot of stuff to it. It was just kind of
a bunch of pish-posh mashed together into one episode. But I think JT should go first because he wasn't here last.
But Harold, let's go to Buddy real quick. What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
And this one is pretty brutal. Okay, well we'll give.
Yeah, I said what you talking about, Wilma.
Yeah. What you talking about, Wilma?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Minor correction on you, Dadman. I believe this is the episode with Ray Walston, who to me is the bigger star than Gary Coleman.
But really,
because Ray Walston is Boothby in Star Trek: The Next Generation, as well as Voyager.
But
and my favorite Martian. He's my favorite Martian.
But I will tell you, forget all that. To me, though, because I grew up and I was a kid in the 70s, Gary Coleman was my age. That's where I saw it. So I think this may be one of those generational or your genre exposure as to who the bigger star is. Because I know Ray Walston. I've seen him in things. He was actually in Rad, which was MST3 or Rift Track he did recently. So I know that character, and I love him as an actor, and I've seen him in so many things. But to me, I went towards Gary Coleman, especially since he was the title character in the episode. But I do agree. But yeah, we can disagree on that point. But that's a very good point because Ray Walston is a heck of an actor. And I'll be honest. I think Ray Walston's character was a lot better than the president in here.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of the problems I had with all of Gary Coleman talking in this episode was, Like, what you talking about, Willis?
Exactly. He's
It was
just
like-
playing the same characters he's
But
doing in different
but he
strokes.
was just pontificating the whole time with meaningless words that didn't seem to have any meaning or hold. So,
Yep.
but go ahead, JT. I'm sorry to cut you off.
So the few notes that I had on this one, overall, I'm going to try to find the things that I liked in here, which are few and far between.
Yep.
Aldebaran 2. Yes,
Mhm.
it sounds
Yeah.
like Alderon, but Aldebaran is also the type of whiskey that
Mhm.
Guinan kept behind the bar that Lieutenant Commander Data served to Scotty. And
okay.
this is the one where Scotty said, "What is it, laddie?" And Data sniffs it and says, "It is green." And then Scotty takes the bottle to the holodeck where he says, show me the bridge of the 1701. And then Major Barrett's voice says there are multiple ships by that classification. And he says NCC 1701, no bloody A, B, C, or D.
Yep.
One of my favorite quotes of all
Of all
Star
time.
Trek.
Yep.
Anyway,
Not Alabrain.
well,
Sorry.
that one too. That one too. Anyway, so if you're
Sorry.
thinking Aldebaran, where am I
Mhm.
thinking of that? Yeah, TNG was after this, but the name gets reused quite a bit.
Okay.
When I think of children in science fiction, this is a trope, and stop doing it. Wesley came after,
Yep.
but stop making the children in sci-fi wunderkind.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
You don't need to do it. In fact, it just makes it insulting to everybody else on the show.
Mm.
One of the things, and Daisy, you're welcome to correct me on this if I'm wrong. Part of the thing about education is you can replicate those results over and over, and as a whole your society improves because your education is better. How is it they're able to produce these smarter than everybody else PhD at the age of 10 kids,
Right.
but then everybody else is a moron next to them? It makes no sense.
Well,
and anyway, I'm just going to get
no-
too mad if I keep talking about it.
No,
Okay.
to your point, it's highly unusual to have a genius that's such a genius that at 10 they have a PhD, to be that far ahead in. So he'd be such an aberration. Is that the right word? He'd be
Aberration.
aberration. Sorry.
Mhm.
It'd be such an aberration that you wouldn't be able to replicate that.
Mm.
But the whole thing of making, couldn't Wesley and this president just have been 17 or 18-year-old mega geniuses? I
Mhm.
mean, do you need them to be 9 and 10-year-old geniuses?
Yes, because the same network was doing different strokes at the time, and this was a
No,
cross promotional stunt.
True, but the whole idea that JT was getting at and I was
Mm.
getting at is
Yeah.
this constant, we have to keep making very young people very, very intelligent
Mm.
when you could make them above average intelligent, and that would work just fine, and they
Yep.
don't need to be 10 years old.
Mhm.
I know they needed to be, but maybe we could have made him, he got his, I don't know. I know you were trying to do this and they wanted to make him president and they thought it was cute, but it just seemed odd. You should have written a different story.
And I had three more things on that just irritated me. One, if you are that smart, you're also usually not that socially gifted. The
Mm.
way that he was portrayed at 10 years old,
Yep.
kind of almost talking like an adult in a way. But two, at 10 years old, you don't have the life experience to be president.
Yeah, no,
How
not
he
in
was
House that
eligible to
far.
become president, don't know. Three, he doesn't actually use his superior intelligence.
Nope.
True.
to get out of anything in the episode. All he did was turn up headphones really loud to get around security.
And also, he snuck into the what I call the cafeteria bot that
Yep.
was delivering him the food.
Yep.
And then,
Now-
then they ripped off the trash compactor thing from Star
Yeah.
Wars, but we'll let that go.
Let me say hello to Mr. Niblick. You're a great friend, JT. Hey, Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't
yes.
think you have to be Einstein to figure out
Right.
that the thing that delivers the food, I can hide in that, and this is the tube system I can crawl through. I am not Einstein, and I figured that out. So
I thought it was
Now,
a
in the
smiling puppy.
interest-
I thought it was a smiling puppy thing on wheels. Because we talked about that.
it did. It looked like
Yeah.
it looked
It
like
had
an
a face.
dog.
They
or
did
a-
anthropomorphize it a little
Yes,
bit.
they
Yeah.
did.
I
then
saw,
later-
I saw a goat, but that a
But then again,
ram,
later,
but, yeah.
later we had smart ass boss computer that was like the same thing, except they put a head and a different
And
type
an
of face,
attitude.
an attitude on
a
it.
racist, sexist attitude.
Yes,
I might
yeah.
add.
Yep.
absolutely. Yes.
I mean, how?
Uh,
I mean, okay. I mean, I was hanging out with a lot of mixed families back in the 70s because that the people don't know it, but that was a really common thing back in the 70s,
Yep.
and we did hear a lot of those comments. So I mean, this is actually pre-progressive, progressive, or maybe the true progressive. But that was the one thing in the episode I really liked because it was so over the top, it became obnoxiously funny for anyone who had to live through that crap. So I think they were right in that for people who had been through that situation. And it's one of the few things I like about the episode. But go on, Daisy, please.
Oh no, I think I was just commenting on someone else's comment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, to wrap it up for my portion, I guess I was watching this and remembering the fantastic stream from the night before. This reminded me of a much better rendition of this. Just go watch Home Alone. Don't watch
Ow.
the Cosmic Whiz Kid. And the kid in Home Alone didn't have a PhD. He did way better than Gary Coleman in this. So
But
I'm
the
sorry,
biggest problem
the
I had
president.
was you couldn't take him seriously. It just was like it just he just read lines, but there was nothing to give it some seriousness behind it too. So
Nope.
how that goes. So it's just that was the biggest problem is believing him, and he was perfect. He was super. And what happened to are you all you adults so stupid? I mean, yeah, he's brilliant and all, but and then you make him president. I had conceptual problems with this thing, but the biggest problem I couldn't get over, and I like Gary Coleman, but I think unfortunately he was one of those that was a typecast actor because he was Arnold, with that one line. But when you try to put him in another serious show, it doesn't translate well, and that's sad. I mean, it's sad, and you feel for the actors because it's not fair. But I just did not. The acting ability, as hard as he tried, it just did not come across. Now, like you talked about Ray Walston, though. Oh, I love that guy and everything he shows up in. I think he was the best thing in this episode. I mean, he delivered. He delivered as a bad guy. But the problem is, I think with this one, it was just like I think they knocked the one guy out in the one hallway, and then they knocked him out, and then all of a sudden, magically, everybody ends up back on Earth in Buck's apartment. And I was like, what? That was a very convenient wrap and an end of an episode. It's almost like we're done, we're tired. Screw you, going home. Screw you, home. I mean, it really was kind of like that. It was just like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it did. They suddenly, literally, they were home on Earth and having chili. That was it. And
with
we're done.
scales in it.
With scales in it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I didn't kill everybody else's
No.
notes
Oh,
on this,
no.
but
No.
I was
No.
looking at the little bar going across, watching it on my computer, trying to figure out how much time was left in the episode.
yes, it's okay.
I will tell you, it was, how can I say this? It was almost as if they had either not enough material. They suddenly just were here and then they were there. And then this happened and you're kind of bouncing around and then it ended. And I was like, did this go through multiple rewrites? Did they not have enough time because Gary Coleman was, needed? He's a child actor who can only record things for so long. And so he's doing his other show. Was there some weird thing I was unaware of? Because it was very odd.
I felt like to your point, I felt like the Wilma portion was just completely tacked on.
Yeah.
The scene with the robot that Hungry loved, sure, but what was she out there doing the whole rest of the time? It just seemed like, yeah, you're right. We have a running time of 28 minutes. What do we do to get this up to the 44 before commercials, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it did seem weird.
I will say that there was some good with it. Like we talked about, it's one if you like character appearances, cameos and stuff. Of course, we had Gary Coleman in it, Ray Walston, as we mentioned, but also I'm not sure who Albert Popwell is as Corin, but we had the great Earl Bowen as Selmar, the telepath.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was weird too. I had a
yes, but I mean, it's really weird with his whole role in it. But you remember where he's from? Such classics like the Terminator franchises as everybody's favorite psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I love that. I recognize that right off the bat. And so, but of course, I think that was another thing that was just thrown in. It's like, why did you need a telepath? And
yeah, and then almost like it was just for a joke. So they said, okay, first of all, he's talking in his head, and Buck and the lady in orange was they answer out loud, and I'm thinking, okay, that's odd. Mm-hmm. And then when he goes to send them the exact coordinates in their head, you hear computer noises like it's a 1960s computer that's 4 stories high with vacuum tubes going while he's sending the info. I'm going, is that what it sounds like in their head? It just, were you trying to be funny with the character and I didn't get it? It's very weird.
Yeah. And good night, Mr. Angel, and hello, Lemon Pie. Good to see you tonight. Good to see you. And Buddy says he's also the main Nestor Twins alien in Battle Beyond the Stars. Because he's played in all kinds of stuff, you know. I actually get him confused with the uncle from Home Alone a lot. So, but I know they're two different people. Yes, exactly. JT Kirk, the most masculine voiced man on YouTube. Oh, wow. There you go, JT. Oh, there you go.
Well, I'm flattered. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're actually trucking along tonight. Do we have any more to say about this episode? Or we pretty much? I know Hungry Boy stepped away. He was so.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, you're back. I was about to say you were so daggum thrilled with this episode.
Oh, geez.
You had to go to the bathroom.
I just want to address something for Daisy. With those computer noises are actually them being cheap because they come from the $6 Million Man show.
That's where I knew them from.
Yeah. They're the exact same noises.
Uniforms said that the uniforms for the guards are from Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Angel, I think it was Mr. Angel had mentioned earlier about how Glenn Larson borrowed from everything. Well, he did. I mean, those uniforms were straight out of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, no changes. I will say my one good thing, when Buck wanted his room to play rock music, it was playing Three Dog Night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go listen to that instead of watching the rest of the episode. But
Yep.
And the other question, the one question I would have was Gary Coleman says something about don't give me that Dr. Doom jive.
Oh, Marvel Comics reference. Marvel Comics.
He's the most comics reference. Yeah, to Dr. Doom.
He was very, very popular and well known by 1979, and he's actually the #1 villain in the Marvel Comics universe.
Okay. I thought it was the same Doctor Doom from the very bad Fantastic Four movies.
That's a
It's
bad representation. Yeah, but
yes, yes.
yeah.
I get it, but that's who
And
they're
Doctor Doom had
referencing.
also been on national and international cartoons in the 1960s. So 10 years later, a fair amount of people would get the reference. So it was an okay reference to use, I reckon. But
Okay, cool. And I still have a problem with the stupid food pucks.
ah, ah.
Okay, go get him, Hungry. Your turn.
I wasn't meaning to
Yes.
interrupt you. I just hate that too. Are you actually finished? Because I don't. I
I'm
want to hear the
done.
rest of what you. I'm done. I hate this episode. I'm done. She says.
Hey, and by the way, hello to CLS Studio. Duck Dodgers beats Buck Rogers. All right, there we go.
Oh,
There's some
well, this week,
discussion right there
yes.
for you.
There's an
Yes.
argument for that. There's an argument for that. So I'm going to try to be relatively quick, but now I'm feeling pissed off. I wrote all these notes about an episode I hated with us being on limited time, but let me just add a little detail that I don't think JT mentioned. I don't think you did, Daisy. I was away for 2 minutes, but
Mhm.
in this episode, one thing I really liked is one of the stupidest, tiniest details, and that is we had but 3, maybe 4 shots of the outside of Ray Walston's stately manor, shall we say, and there were peacocks there. Now that's an
Yes.
in-joke because it was NBC and their icon, their mascot was
Yep.
the peacock.
Peacock.
I wondered.
Okay.
I
Yes,
wondered.
I
Yeah.
did too, because I kept going,
Peacocks.
why are we showing the peacocks? Got it.
Oh, and
Now,
Hungry, we do have some time. Take your time and feel free to give some of those notes. You worked
Okay.
on them. Give your notes, and we're doing good on time, so
Oh.
we're good.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I just
Well-
found 2 things in my notes. Go ahead, though.
Oh, well, no, I'll continue in a moment. I only made 1 point. You go ahead and finish up your notes. That's the right way to do it.
I went to so Gary Coleman is joking around. He fell into the trash compactor. Wilma comes and finds him, and he's babbling on about how he's not a human. He's actually a very highly programmed doll. His name is Ken.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh, is he Kenuff?
Mm,
He's a Ken doll from Barbie. I assume that's what the reference was.
that is the joke. That is
Yeah.
the joke because oh boy, so many, because remember the show's being simultaneously directed towards children but adults as well. The adults had to buy the doll, the kids had to play with the doll, and the boys had to put up with the Ken doll because the sisters,
Yes.
the cousins, and the girls we'd have crushes on would make us play bloody Ken with them when they wanted to play Barbie, and it's just
That's
something you
it.
had to do if you
Mhm.
had a crush or a cousin that you had to be on good terms with.
Here's the other thing. When none of you guys were around, we used to take your GI Joes, and those were our Barbie dolls' boyfriends. So there you
You
go.
know.
There you
Not
go.
Ken. Not Ken.
Yeah, what a real man.
Ken was too metrosexual for you gals. I understand.
Well, yeah, we didn't know that word. We just knew that the GI Joe dolls were much more cool.
Mhm.
All right.
And
Okay,
the GI
Hungry.
Joe.
And I liked. Speaking of being outside,
Yeah.
they had this droid out there with
Oh,
the
God.
vacuuming the leaves.
I like the droid. It's for the design. The design.
Yes.
Not the, yeah.
And then they steal his little cart, and he's going, "Halt! City property! Halt!"
Yeah.
It was hysterical. That was cute.
You
That
look
was
like an
great.
auditor running around behind him, like, "Hey, you can't do that. Stop! You can't do that!" And just completely ignored, like, "Oh, why bother?" Hey,
Yep.
I loved it. Oh, all right. Well, Hungry. Okay, feel free. Feel free. We're doing good. We're doing good on times. We got probably about 45, 50 minutes. So we got plenty of time to deal with the other episode. But you take the time on the notes here. Let's see bring us with your worst. Okay.
Okay. So I'll start with a premise of the name because a lot of people hear a name that they know is associated with something. Hieronymus Fox, which is basically from Hieronymus Bosch, who was a
Yes.
very famous and infamous in a way painter. But this is not. I mean, I think what they did in the writers' room was say, "Can we call him Leonardo da Squeaky or something?" And they said, "No, that's too on the nose." So they just looked for some famous name of a painter who was very focused on things that might equate to be solving the problems that Gary Coleman's character was solving in the plot, which we never saw. We only had them expositionally
Why-
mentioned.
Why would
But-
they even bother naming after a painter? I don't understand that. Why not come with like George or Steve or something? Why did they have to go so? Is it
Two words. Two
okay.
words. Sitcom writers. Two phrases. Sitcom writers and too much cocaine. 1979. That's why.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Well, Lemon Pie loves Bosch's paintings, so
Yeah, they're great, but they're very, very chaotic. There is a pattern to them, but that was the wrong painter to choose. But see, they were all over the damn shop with the writing and the concept of this, and so that was one problem. They chose the wrong name, but a lot of people weren't even going to be really paying attention to that. The music was here and there. There were some cute things. I mean, I got to sort of focus on the light before I get to the not so light. One good line was, where'd they pick you up anyway? On the remainder table? And Daisy and I think JT would know, and possibly you would know, remainders is a term for unsold book stock in a bookstore. So that's like the discount book. And that was pretty funny. But the whole idea about this, which and this is something hopefully JT will relate to, the expectations foisted upon Hieronymus are rather tragic, and they don't really go into that. They just handle something incredibly, almost psychologically morbid in a very, very lighthearted way. And it's like they were trying to touch on the popularity of the Sixth Finger episode of The Outer Limits and other shows like that. But at the end of the day, it's still Gary Coleman playing Arnold from Different Strokes, just in a space suit. And I mean, the AI anti-human bigotry in the funny robot was hilarious, but for some reason, with a person giving that greater role, I looked for an hour trying to track down the person who did the voiceover for that robot. They didn't mention that, so that pisses me off. I'd like to see credit where credit is due. But he actually refers to all humankind as, these are the exact words, organic scum. I mean, they're not pulling any punches with this character. That one was good. And then the thing is, don't do comic book stuff if you don't understand comic book stuff. But comic books were just starting to be on the rise. We just really had created comic book retail stores as chain stores back then. So you had the character Selmar, who was a psionic. And that was a nice tip of the hat to the X-Men from when the X-Men were being published from 1974 to 1979. And he was also a bit of a cheesy Charles Xavier. But a lot of the jokes were simply way, way too referential to our time. And that is something I can't stand in modern sci-fi either. I hated it as a kid in 1979. I hate it now. When things just become too conversational. And if Buck is saying it, or if Hieronymus is saying it, that's understandable. But I actually caught a couple of times when the very, 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 very visually appealing Melody Rogers, playing the bodyguard of Hieronymus, she was doing it, but she would have no reference point in order to make 20th century slang terms work in a sentence. She wouldn't have that point of reference. So that bugged me. And here's something that's just technical that got on my nerves. It really got to me. I think the guy who did the sound work for the episodes before this must have been sick or taken a vacation, because it was very clear they had a different guy working the boom mic. And also, this was a problem in the following episode too, where there were times where you simply could not hear what Gary Coleman was saying.
And sorry.
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
That might have been part of my problem. I do have my hearing's going, as I get a little bit older, and I do have problems here. And he talks so fast normally anyway that it was hard to understand some of the words and some of the and enunciation is important. The sound is important, and I think a lot of what he was trying to say is you had to hear it to be able to understand it, and that's where the meat of it lied. But if you were missing either due to volume or whatever the reasons, it probably made no sense. And that might be one of the reasons why I had a problem with him as that character, because probably if you flip him with Ray Walston's character and have Ray Walston saying that, it would have meant a lot more. It probably would have been a completely different episode.
Well, that's a very good point, Dad, man, because Ray Walston, like many of the actors of his time, was very properly trained. And he understood proper stage enunciation, not pronunciation, but enunciation. And he could articulate his words. And even if he spoke quietly, I could understand every single word he said. But again, a lot of times when he was speaking, he had a large physical distance between him and the other characters for the most part of it. So the boom mic guy could get that mic right on top of Ray, and we'd be able to understand what he was saying. But with Gary, sometimes it was really mixed, and I'd say there were about. I had to watch it on a VLC player and pump the volume all the way up to 200 and adjust the IQ to get a lot of the dialogue on this one.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
And I was willing to do that for your show. I wouldn't do it for anyone else's show.
Oh, thank you. Pay the price.
But you know, the $6 Million Man sound effects, those bugged me, and there's just
No, Hungry.
Okay.
We've been bringing up NBC, and you brought up the lazy reference by using Hieronymus, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just go to their own show from the past on NBC, right? And call Gary Coleman something like
Oscar?
Dr. Rick Daystrom or something?
Yes, that would have been great.
It
But
would have
they're
been
not that
such
smart,
a better
dude.
reference. Well, yeah.
They're not that smart. But here's something for the science people. Okay? The photon shield. I mean, what? Hold on. I mean, light particles? Wait, okay, now if it's condensed light, then it's not a photon shield. That whole thing bugged me unless they were looking at the photon as a particle of electromagnetic radiation, in which case it could work. But it just seemed like someone who had heard a science term and wanted to throw it in there, like Lost in Space in the 1960s.
Well, Hungry, you know what a great
Was-
photon shield would be? A piece of black construction paper.
Well,
I mean, that.
that'd stop your photons.
Yep.
Absorb those puppies.
Oh.
The two that bugged me, and I can't remember which one was the photon one because whatever.
It was the
that
fence
the
they were
one
trying
with
to get through. The fence.
The light stand wall, or the thing that covered the grass that Moses needed to part. Which one was the photon shield?
Well, there was a photon shield, which were the set of spears, staffs set in the ground like a perimeter, and then they also had they had the photon carpet, as I refer
The carpet.
to it.
Right. So I looked at the one on the thing, and he just like chucks her over the top of it, and I'm going, like, wait, you spent all that money for this ridiculous fence, and you can't make it go up? And then we do the thing on the grass with the, chuck the little thing. Look, now we can see the grass under the fuzzy, weird, pretty lights on the floor. And I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Do you mind if I?
Hey, I gotta say,
actually. Oh, sorry.
I gotta say something real quick though, because CLS Studio, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till we chase squirrels later tonight. You have not heard the best of Hungry sound effects yet.
Am I getting mocked by somebody?
I cut you off too.
No, it's a passionate. No, we love it. It's like JT Kirk. We love your passion. We love your passion.
Okay,
and
thank you.
We love it, dude. I mean, don't be you. You wake me up at 2:00 in the morning when I'm starting to nod off. Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sorry, I've not been able to do that recently. It's just health issues.
Hey, listen, I had to start going to sleep at some to function at work myself. So, but I got you.
But speaking of how naughty we're probably going to get about 2 hours from now, or let me just say, and Daisy, I hope you won't mind, but I know you got, and I'm saying this in a cheesy comedy voice, a somewhat wry but naughty sense of humor. The thing is, Daisy, that they had to have the fence be that short because they had one of the sex symbols of 1979 playing, oh God, what was her name? Oh yeah, Melody Rogers. So she's the one who plays the bodyguard. She has that incredibly sexy disco perm. I don't like disco music, but I like the hairstyles the lady
gosh.
wore. And she's wearing incredibly tight pants. So we get to see her go. We get to see her in every human position possible as she goes over
Flying
that
over the top of
photon
it.
fence, and then they get to run away from it afterwards. So I think that was just, you know, there's a
Across
tradition
the
of sex
grass.
appeal on the show.
Well,
Pardon-
take care,
pardon,
CLS
Casey?
Studio.
Grass.
Thank you for coming by CLS Studio. Take care, and
See
God
you,
bless you
CLS.
too. Yes.
Yes, bye-bye. In high heel boots.
I know,
don't-
running
I don't
in
know how
grass.
I don't know
Oh.
if any of you gentlemen have tried to do that. But as the lady on the
Nope.
panel, I can assure you it does take quite a bit of practice to pull that off in those boots.
And the heels are going to go right into that
In-
nicely manicured lawn that's
That
supposed
is
to be
correct.
outside.
That is correct. They're going bye-bye.
And you're going to pull your foot out of
Yep.
it. Those heels are going to go at least 3 inches
True.
into the
Yep.
soil, and it's done. It's just done. And
Mhm.
Yep. That's how
Well-
Cinderella lost her slipper. It got
Yep.
stuck in the
And I like
ground.
what you said, Daisy. When she got to the other side and just turned the switch, that was like okay, that just.
Oh yeah, she gets to the other side, and then
Yeah.
right out there in the open for anybody who can jump over the top of this thing, you go, oh look, here's the off switch. How convenient.
yeah.
At least it's not as bad as what happened that one Kenobi episode where they basically had the laser fence that you could have just walked around.
Walked around. Well,
Yeah.
this one you didn't have to walk around. You did have to jump over.
You did have to work to get over it. So, folks, we got 8 people here with us tonight. Still, thank y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed. We're talking Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Hungry, you have any more points, or can we move on?
Yeah,
to the better episode?
I got 2 more points. I want to
Okay.
I just want to add something good that unfortunately was always in association with something bad. And JT, I'm talking about some concept, but then the terrible worst Kojak music ripoff in history for the incidental background music. A lot of times the music in this was terrible, but we had moments that were, in terms of sci-fi, good ideas that were fairly for television, not comic books, for television, early for the time. So we had the character who was playing the assassin who makes fun of the fact that he could have been a librarian, but he didn't want to do that. He became an assassin, and he uses the fact that he grew up on a very high gravity planet to take advantage of that.
Right.
And I like that in the concept, and I kind of like the way they designed the fights, but the music in the background was just like an aesthetic migraine going on while you're trying to dance with somebody.
I guess I'm just more fortunate. I blocked it out.
Wow.
Like when it gets to that way where it's just going to be distracting, sometimes my mind just blocks out the music altogether.
Well, I think that might be because of your trained musical ability. You might have that ability to do that. So
Perhaps maybe it's my X-Men power of
Yes,
gift
exactly.
of tuning out annoying TV music.
yeah.
Well,
But,
I mean, if a comic book is really well drawn and the writing is incredibly adolescent and poor, I can still I can do the same thing with a comic book in the other way. But I mean, the music in this was driving. Anyway, I'm done with this episode. Damn it, I'm done with this episode.
All right. Well, let's move. Are we ready to move on?
So
Are we
we're
good?
giving it a 10 out of
Please.
10, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Go.
Oh yeah.
I
This is in
honestly,
my top 36 Buck Rogers episodes, right?
I will give it an honest
36.
rating. An honest rating, and I'm not being mean to it. I'm actually giving it credit. All right, I'm actually bumping up my rating from what it was before I watched it again last night. My original rating when I first saw it was a 0. Then I saw it about 25 years ago, and I raised it to a 2. I'm giving it a 3.5 tonight. After last night,
Nice.
out of 10.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. So hey, I mean, see what happens. You start watching stuff and you get better with it.
That's your
That's
fault.
It's my fault. Now, usually
give
it
You're
is,
an
so-
Appion's fault.
I give it my
Yeah,
do
you know-
not watch endorsement. Officially do
I would
not
still-
watch.
I will still say it's not that bad though. It's not like Village bad, or Blair Witch.
Oh, nothing
bad.
is Village bad.
It's still
Or Jack
mean,
Black in Star Wars
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, exactly. Or Lizzo in Star Wars. Daisy?
I'm agreeing with JT. It's a do not watch endorsement.
Oh, wow.
Save
Would
your
y'all-
time.
Would y'all say it mostly because of Gary Coleman's character?
Yeah.
No, the writing.
The
Well,
writing?
He could have
There's
done
many
well.
reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the
There
writing.
were several reasons.
And
Well,
the
I think-
music. The writing and the music.
No. Okay, well, this is an episode where the music fails. So, okay. Well, we'll move on to Escape from Wedded Bliss. Episode 12. David Mosinger was the director. The writers were Alan Brennett and Ann Collins again. Aired initially November 29th, 1979, episode 53411. We have the return of the aliens that look like damn humans like V, but these seem to be like real humans, not aliens like in V. Princess Ardala attacks I want to say New York City, but New Chicago with an indestructible alien trapezoid or top or those type of things, and orders the Earth leaders to hand over Buck Rogers or she will destroy every city on the planet. Instead of turning himself over, Buck goes off to find a man named Garadon, which was a Draconian defector living in seclusion on Earth, who knows the layout of Ardala's warship. Unfortunately, the man is insane with fear of being captured, and the only way to learn what he knows is to probe his mind. In the meantime, Buck surrenders to Ardala, who wants him to marry her in exchange for sparing Earth. Buck plays along until Wilma and Dr. Hewer can relay the location of the alien weapon control system so he can destroy it and end Ardala's hold over Earth. Of course, there's a few things that happen in here but around this and before this and between this. But hey, Hungry Boy, I'm going to let you kick this one off. Where do you want to start with this thing? Because basically, what we have is a little firing at the Earth at the beginning, and then they come down and have a little dinner, and then some wonderful music dancing. Daisy, I wait for your comments on that.
Dude.
And then we get to see Ardala demands it, and then two studs decide to offer themselves, but it's not good enough. She only wants Buck, and then we get a pew pew, and then eventually we see Tiger Man and Buck fight a bit, and then eventually we have the end, and Ardala has to leave. So and you sit here like, what's Kane's deal in this whole process? But let's go, Hungry. Where do you want to go with this one first?
Well, I'll go first since you mentioned Kane. Is that they switched up the actor playing Kane. The first was a great character actor named Henry Silva, but I didn't think Henry Silva was right for the role. But then they switched to Michael Ansara. And if you're a fan of either the old Lost in Space, but more importantly, the original episodes, the original series of Star Trek, you would actually recognize him as the best, possibly the best Klingon commander who was in Day of the Dove. And that's who he is.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, that's where I got him from. Okay. I knew it,
And I
couldn't place him.
Right. And so as a kid, I recognized him immediately and I was thrilled. And also, he's better suited to the role. And you notice one of the things that was really great is they change the uniform style of Kane to suit the new actor. Mr. Ansara is much more dignified. He's got a lot of dignitas, in fact. He's got a deeper, more resonant voice. He's got he can have a subtle expression. He has micro expressions. He's very, very economical with his body language. And so he was just a treat in this, if you focus on acting and not just the story. And we also had H.B. Haggerty coming back as Triggerman, and he had done a lot of character work before, but Tigerman, not Triggerman. Tigerman.
Hello, DJ Play Nice. Sorry, real quick. Hey.
Oh, hey.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, DJ.
Yeah.
I thought the opening was very gripping and exciting. I like the design of the device. It makes a lot of sense. At the beginning, we don't know who created it, but we find out only about 7 minutes later where it came from, how it came from. I like the fact they got to that very quickly versus saving it till halfway through the episode. And then there, I'll just say this sounds, it is half a joke. It's half a joke, but the hair on the female characters were so fluffy and bouncy in this episode. It was amazing. There was so much hair feathering, but there was so much volume to the hair. I've never seen Wilma's hair that big in the show before or after this.
Yeah.
And it was just bouncing, and she turned her head, and her hair would stop moving about 2 minutes after her head stopped moving. It was great. And then we have the costumes, which were fantastic. I mean, one of the headdresses that Ardala wears when she's announcing her weapon to the Federation is very, very much almost exactly like a headdress I saw in a 1930s film. And a lot of her gowns are very obviously inspired by the 1930s fashion. And let's remember, Buck came out in 29, basically became hugely popular, as we said in the very first Buck Rogers episode we did. It's basically a 1930s thing that got successful and continued throughout the 40s and 50s. So that was really, and she makes I counted 6 costume changes in one episode. That's what you call production value in television and film. And production value is like what JT was mentioning with the unique desert and Unchained Woman. That's production value. You find something wonderful that's just going to happen, and it's going to happen naturally, and it subconsciously makes people appreciate the episode beforehand. But then after all of this, we get to the damn roller disco scene.
Well, let me say hello to Wes Cagle. Hey, thanks for
Wes.
popping in.
Hello.
Hope, we're going to be doing something else in about 45 minutes, so hopefully you can make it back. We're going to be up a little bit late tonight, but hey, glad you popped by. Make sure you hit that like button. We already got 12 likes tonight. It's pretty dang good tonight, for Friday before Christmas. So, hey,
Very nice.
great to have y'all with us in this great panel. JD Kirk, Daisy Blossom, and Hungry Boy.
But
right.
roller disco, dude. Roller disco. I'm going to be the Krampus here. Roller
Krampus.
disco. Roller
You've
disco.
embraced Krampus now.
No,
my
I hate
friend.
Krampus, and that's why I use him as a reference point. But the thing is that roller disco to real dancing is like Oscar Mayer bologna compared to a properly prepared boutique German sausage. Okay, it's that bad. Roller disco is terrible, and this roller disco was bad compared to normal roller disco. It was the costumes are great. There was sexiness going on. That was fine, but the music, it's driving me nuts. But here, to get to a nice point about the episode, it's clear ever since the first time Buck has met Ardala that Buck is really under Ardala's skin, romantically speaking, and that is made abundantly clear in this episode. But it's also clear, that in many ways she is under his skin, because there are times where there were so many things he could have done, but he did not do. I mean, like nasty bad things for the sake of his loyalty to Earth. But the idea that this was actually clever in the episode, that royals could fall in love with and try to marry non-royals. This goes back centuries. Centuries.
Wasn't there the King Henry, or one of the Henrys that
Henry VIII
married a woman, an American divorcee, and had to give up the throne?
That was that's more recent. Yes, that's
much more recent.
And then, that was
and then you also had
Yes,
World War One roughly.
World War I.
But then around past World War II, you had the sister of the Queen, who recently passed. All right, and there were times she fell in love with a photographer. Can you imagine how much royal people hate photographers? And she said
probably or not.
I know. I'm just talking about the paparazzi thing.
Oh, I know about the little, what happened many years
We're not referencing that. I'm talking all the way back to the 1930s.
Well, no, I'm saying, but that's one more reason to hate them. So, but hey, anyway, go ahead.
And then her outfits were also very much designed on the basis of great sci-fi and fantasy artists and comic book artists. And the three that the designer, I don't care what rating I give the show, but the costume designer gets A++. Okay, A++. Her outfits were mainly based on Boris Vallejo with a little bit of Dave Cockrum and a significant amount of Mike Grell. It is a perfect recipe of costume design.
And really with the bikini?
All of them.
All of them. Wow, because they were different stages of revealing. Some were very revealing more than others. So and then there were some that covered her from almost from the neck down, like when they get to
the beginning of the negotiation and courting scene in Ardela's bedroom, where she starts talking about the 3 stages of draconian marriage, and that was very nice that they bring that up, because there are actual historical and cultural precedents for that.
Okay.
And I like that. Is it okay if I give a couple more notes and then I'm done?
Yeah. Go.
Yeah.
We got time. We still
course.
got time. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that was really amazing to see, and I didn't have the words for it when I was seeing it as a kid, but I have the words now, is when Buck is getting ready to go, and Wilma is pretending she doesn't know why Buck is going, but she can anticipate it. But there's a scene with Tweaky and Buck saying, "You're not coming with me. And you can come with me to the hangar bay and see me off, but you're not coming with me." And Tweaky just stands there in the room and stares at Buck. And then Buck, there's the back and forth. Buck turns off the light and says he's leaving. And Tweaky just sits there staring at the door, sad and dejected, and
Kinda like a
refusing to
puppy.
give up his friend. Yes,
Kinda like a
exactly
puppy.
like a puppy. A puppy with an IQ of 120, but still a puppy. And then eventually Buck gives in. And now you can't see the actor's face. We're not hearing any dialogue. You can't even see a blink. You can't see a twitch on an ear. And the way that was filmed and edited was sublime. That was a 10 out of 10 scene. And it's incredibly hard to make that work when you're basically having an actor in a robot suit who's not moving at all. You may as well just stick a mannequin from a department store into the scene and film it. And I thought that was beautifully realized. Realized. And then we had oh geez. No, I don't want to talk about that bad point. That's a bad point. I'm going to leave that one out. And the romance here, the push and pull between Buck and Ardala, but also the fact that we can actually see there are times where, yes, he really wants to date Wilma, but let's remember, Buck is an ex-astronaut. The guy has got self-discipline in truckloads, and he knows even if he's working unofficially for a military operation, he cannot be involved with Wilma. And this is when I talk about subtextual, where they're making it clear in the storytelling without putting it in the dialogue, being directly stated and on the nose and beating you over the head with it. This is what subtextual filmmaking and television making is all about. We have a double subtext. We got the subtext with Wilma, and then we have the subtext with Ardala, where it became very clear to me. I thought as a kid, I've watched this episode 5 times. Each episode, the same thing comes to mind. If Buck had come out of his cryo sleep, his accidental cryo sleep, and Earth were a bunch of like jackbooter asswipes, pardon my language, he might actually say, "Okay, Ardala, your people are no more worse than mine to become. Fine, I'll throw in with you." But Earth still has a heart. Earth still has good intentions. Earth still has empathy, and Buck is not going to betray Earth under any circumstance, no matter how sexy a woman is, no matter how many riches she can bestow upon him. And I thought that was a magnificent part of this episode.
I contrast him with Riker. Because Riker couldn't control his damn libido. He was still acting and putting his ship in trouble. Buck always had a plan and always a method and stuff. And even Wilma finally came to realize he didn't just do stuff, that he was always thinking and always planning. I mean, I think really that gives you a great complicated, deep side of Buck Rogers. He's just not, like you said, disciplined. I look at Riker, and what we saw in the track with Riker is an undisciplined
he's a
horn
butthead.
dog. Yeah, he's just a horn dog. I mean, Kirk was disciplined romantic, though. He would never endanger his ship. He was always still, in charge of him. But how many times did Riker's like, you could see the danger coming, but Riker's still, "Hey, lady," hey, but I don't know. Maybe that's a relevant point. Maybe it's not. I'm not as
I know it's
much
totally
of a
relevant point.
I mean, Kurt, JT, what do you think or Daisy? Y'all are bigger Trek fans than I am. A comparison contrast with a character in a different franchise.
Oh, there's definitely some parallels there. I was hoping to go third on the panel here if I could overall, if Hungary's done.
I'm nearly done.
Okay.
But you go on. I talked to.
Yeah, and
We need a balance in the rhythm.
Yeah,
We need a balance.
let's take this point up, because I brought up a comparison contrast with Buck versus Riker. And my observations of Riker. Am I wrong about Riker? Am I being too hard on Riker? Because it just seemed like so many times he ended up endangering the ship with some of the choices in situations you put him in.
2D, and I think you got to the point where you go from just a few years later, the difference in the writing where Buck's allowed to be an actual man, and Riker gets to be this stereotype where he's just a weak man, because now we're on to some sort of feminist critique.
Yeah.
That's how I've always felt about Riker. I don't feel like he was ever written fairly. But then I'm not a particularly big fan of Jonathan Frakes. So
ditto.
I don't feel too sorry for the character at the end.
Okay. I just was curious, because to me, there's a difference between the two.
Oh, there's
even a difference between Kirk. There's even between Kirk and Riker, because Kirk would never endanger his ship. Right. Riker always seemed to think with the wrong head, and I think we saw several cases where he did endanger not only the mission, the entire ship, because he was not thinking.
Can I put this in perspective? There's a difference. There's a reason we have different words in dictionaries and a thesaurus. So Kirk is confident. Riker is narcissistic. They are not synonyms. Those words do not mean the same thing.
Right. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. I hate Riker.
No. Go ahead, Daisy. Go ahead.
Kirk is the captain of the ship and has attained that rank. Whereas Riker is not the captain of the ship. And so he has not attained the rank of captain, and there may be a reason for that.
Oh, God. I'm having a bad flashback to a couple of conversations with people I've had relationships with there, Daisy. That was multi-layered and so quiet, but it's like a very soft velvet pillow, and underneath is a razor sharp dagger.
That is
Daisy.
why I love having my friend Daisy here to add some grace and sophistication to this stuff.
Trying to sneak up on someone and be an assassin.
You didn't need to. The words killed him. But it's about the difference in dignity. So Kirk has dignity. I've actually never seen the character of Riker. I'm not going to talk about Mr. Frakes, but I've never seen the character of Riker exhibit any true dignitas whatsoever. But Ansala in this episode has more dignities than you can carry in a army backpack. And I love how there was one point here to just illustrate it, where you have Buck Rogers facing off with 5 guys in the hallway, and it's a terrible fight scene. Don't get me wrong. But a kid, you don't know that. As the moment you turn 18, you know it's a terrible fight scene. But Buck is, it takes like 15 seconds for him to get to these 5 guys. And Kane is just sitting there at the back. He's just sitting at the back waiting with his gun ready down by his side. And Buck finishes and starts coming at Kane. He just pulls up the gun and blasts him and puts him down. That is a Michael Ansara moment. And then he slowly walks up to him with the elegance of a true Panther. I'm not making a Marvel joke. And he looks at him in this tired, frustrated way, like only a great actor like Ansala would do. And his face and his shoulders just say, "Why must you be so fucking stupid, Mr. Rogers?" And it's a beautiful moment. I'm sorry for swearing, but it was just for emphasis.
I know. But yeah, I mean, what you said about how the running scenes, like near the end when he threw the little bomb, I think, when apparently it was not blue gas this time, it was just the lights went out, and then
it was a black light bomb. They used that 2 episodes before. Yeah.
Okay, and then he ran out, and then you see Ansara and them chasing Kane and them chasing, but it was like they were running in slow motion.
I know.
It's like, can y'all not run faster? And it just seems the way of 70s TV shows was run faster. But so let's say, JT, what else did you have with us before we talk to Daisy about see what she wants to talk about this episode?
Okay. So a few things I had on this. The opening scene where Ardala was on the massage table. They messed up the makeup really bad. When I saw her and the camera work combined, they had a bad angle on her and they messed up her makeup. Zoomed in way too close as well, so you could see it was just caked on. And they didn't need to do that, but they made her look, how can I put it delicately? I was expecting to hear a bass or a baritone voice come out because they put her makeup on in a style where men who wish to appear as women would look in such a way. And then the rest of the episode, she looks absolutely beautiful, stunning.
Yep.
But they just messed up there, and it was really kind of personally off-putting. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, I viewed this episode through the angle of attraction. And so the attraction here is Buck and Ardala, but also Buck and Wilma, and attraction and duty. And I think the writers took this, I still like the episode, but I think the writers took this in the wrong direction. I think it should have been at least a two-parter where Buck does go along with the marriage. And I say that because Ardala wants him, and he's the one with the value, not her, in that relationship. And he had all the power to get married, then start making demands or influences, and maybe brought down the whole empire, or gotten rid of the emperor, made the whole empire collapse, forced some kind of social change. Possibilities were really there, right? Yeah. They could have had a fantastic story arc, and they chose not to do it. I mean, they had him kind of making comments to the other gentleman, the aide, at that one point, one scene. But I thought it should have gone that way.
Go ahead.
The first step, you know, where he's supposed to schmooze, then the second step where he didn't delete the other guy, and he said, "I won't do it." I was kind of
Tiger Man. Yes, the fight with Tiger Man.
I wanted her to say, "Well, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You have to do it."
Dude.
I wanted that. But coming from a point of attraction, I think the writers messed up because him refusing to delete, and then the way he acted around getting married and all this, I feel like he should have been written and done things to drive her a little more crazy and have her want him even more. It just didn't happen that way. Well,
I think, is it possible at the end with what they did do, she's going to want him even more because she had to let him go again at the end of the episode because of, the Tiger Man had now said we're even because, he spared his life because Tiger Man was about to eliminate Ardala,
Yeah.
And once again, he slipped out of her fingers. She had him and all this, and something happened away because she's getting a little bit out of control too. Because even Kane sees it because he's like, "Your father has all these plans. Your father." And once again, we see another episode where she altered the plan and basically messed it up instead of just attacking and destroying. She's so fixated on Buck that
I feel like the way that they did it, I would have to rewrite pretty much the whole second half of this episode to make it go the way I would want. But I felt like he should have played into it way more than he did, and him running away like a little baby. It felt like she would have gotten tired of him, not wanting him more. She would have been tired of him, and he would have appeared unsuitable. And then they brought in these other suitors. I thought, no, he would have married her because he knew that was his sense of duty. He knew that's what he had to do, and he would have worked on it from the inside and gone along with the game. And she would have been blindsided by it because she was so infatuated with him. And so I just felt it was poorly conceived. Yeah. So but I love the episode, but I just felt like they missed a lot of opportunities. And so the way that they try to write points of attraction towards one another, they messed that part up, and they didn't give enough time to Buck and Wilma. I really would have loved to see a scene where he would have said something like, you know, my heart's towards you, but the duty has always been towards, you know, to king and country, kind of a thing. I've got to go with her because it's my duty.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought all of that would have been far more believable. It would have had a love triangle thing going on much more cohesively. Just too much of a story to tell in one episode.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it was so much to jam in there because you had anything from start to courtship to like you said, as it's described. It was just so much wrapped up into one, and it became a convenient little it just felt like rushed at the end. And of course, anytime he just walks off the stage. Let me get to Daisy though real quick.
Yeah.
Daisy, what are your thoughts with this episode?
Well, to piggyback on what JT was saying, I got the impression they were sort of trying to set up that the ultimate with Buck was, I'm going to do what's right for Earth, regardless of what year it is. That's my planet. That's my home. If I've got to go away with this lady, that's what I'll do. But then they threw in all these other things in the background of going on camping trips and finding Obi-Wan Kenobi hiding in the forest, running around and can't remember the inside of the starship. And then they went back to, okay, well, I'll go. So I wasn't sure whether they knew which direction they wanted to take it, because I think of Buck as the person that would put the entirety of the earth well above his own happiness for the rest of his life. So it was just odd. I mean, I liked the episode.
How did you think the pacing was overall? Like, to JT's point, do you think that maybe they should have broken it up, that they tried to do too much in one place or in one episode?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you could have gotten rid of the disco rolling scenes and stuff like that.
God,
I mean,
it was disco night at the Roladium.
I'm trying to figure out how they could do that in such a small area. But
they probably were people that, because going to the roller rink and doing things like that, because roller skating was way cheaper than ice skating, so you could form teams and do the disco roller skating and stuff. So it probably was a group of people that did sort of do that together, and they could do that in a fairly small space. But it's just and the music and the
music seemed to. Was there good things that you liked with this episode, or I mean, that stood out to you on the positive side?
He asks as I'm trying to run through my notes.
Well, make sure
paper. I love that. I love that.
Hey,
Can you hear it? That the page hit the microphone.
Yeah. I got the legal pad. I know what you're doing.
I have the college ruled notebook, with the whole.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
I didn't like that when Buck went to the ship and he says, "Okay," I keep calling her Amidala.
Yes.
Sorry about the wrong princess. When he went to be with her and she sends everyone out, and then they do, interesting talking to one another, and then he drugs her again. He goes outside her door, and where's Tigerman? She is still the princess, and none of you trust this guy. Why did they all disappear? And then why does he only knock her out? Because he's trying to go get off the ship and do whatever he needs to do so that the Earth doesn't die, blow up the cubit thing in the sky.
Cubit.
The sky beam thing.
The dreidel.
That's what I was
dreidel.
thinking. Yes, that was what I was thinking about.
That little dude in the sky. Yeah, so he's trying to blow
Dra-
that up.
Dreidel, gonna blow up the Earth. I'm sorry. Just
Nice one. Keep going, Daisy. Keep going.
That's okay. Oh shoot. Well, I lost my train.
I'm sorry, Daisy.
No, it's okay. It was cute. What? No, I sounded like I was irritated. I'm not irritated at you. I lose my sense of direction walking across the floor.
Oh no.
So let me think. What was the point, girl? Okay, I don't remember the point.
There was something about the dreidel. And
Okay. He went to go do that. And so he knows that it's going to take him a certain amount of time to go from her quarters to where he can control the dreidel.
Mm-hmm.
He only knocks her out for what, 30 seconds? I mean,
oh yes.
What was up with that?
Yeah, you need a stronger tranquilizer next time.
I was gonna say, when you're trying to subvert expectations here and get away. I love how she keeps waking up and going, Buck, and then he's not there, and I'm like, woman, let me explain something to you. He keeps getting away. Maybe Tiger Man should stay.
There you go. Tiger Man's a real man. And Tiger.
Daisy, so.
Oh, look, Buddy has a point here. Agree with Ardala giving Buck too many chances by this time.
Nope.
The cat only swipes at the mouse once or twice before it's dinner time.
Nope, not in my experience, buddy, because oftentimes I've been the good guy the women go to after the bad guy. And sometimes they go back.
You're the high school
bad guy.
counselor. You're the best friend. Yeah, I know that freaking feeling. Yeah, exactly.
They've been with a guy like Marilyn Manson, and then they come to me because their entire spirit is crushed by the naughtiness, and then they want to do the naughtiness, and I'm there. I'm ready for the naughtiness, and this is kind of like the Buck thing with Ardala. So I agree with JT. I don't see it the same way. I know you're right. I just can't accept it, but I accept that you're right. But I'm going to be interested in Daisy's opinion about this because of the whole Buck thing. Whereas I dated women where there are times I used to look very different back in the day, but my friends also dated women where the actual act of seduction is more important than the control. There's a difference in being able to force somebody to do what you want to do versus using what you as a woman can bring to the table to make them decide that they want to do it rather than be forced. And I always got the impression, particularly in this episode, that Ardala has a limited repertoire of what to do with Buck because she comes from this system, which I'm not going to bring up the metaphors for what the Draconian Empire is supposed to represent because we're on YouTube. But she is trying to bring Buck towards her. And the only way that the relationship is going to be satisfactory to her is if he willingly gives up his own freedoms to her. It's a I hate to say it's a quasi kinky kind of relationship. And quasi kinky is fine. At least they didn't go full kinky in the episode. But there are people I've known where they want an acceptance of the seduction. Mm-hmm. And it's for them, it's not a win. It is not a conquest unless somebody says, yes, you're right. I want you as much as you want me. Yeah. And she basically states in the episode, all you have to do is what you're doing right now when he's nuzzling her neck as if he worships her. That's an actual line in this episode.
Yes.
And then she tells him about the collar, and the wonderful part with again on Sala as Kane is he says, yeah, I got no problem with you because I know eventually you're going to screw up so badly you're going to be executed. That was hard. That was really hard.
Yeah, Kane, he's sitting there because he can't. Anything he does to her is mutinous, and everybody would have to turn on him if she ordered it, even though he's sitting there trying to remind everybody that there's still a higher power, the Emperor, that she's just flat out ignoring and choosing to circumvent and change the rules. Once again, we've got that here. So
Well, and Buck does say to him, in essence, tries to get a rise out of him and say, well, it must really, be upsetting to you that you had it all and then now she's gonna take the throne and and I'm gonna be married to her and not you. And his comeback is what you just said. No, you're gonna screw up and you're gonna be executed and it'll all be fine.
Yeah. Because who else is it going to be for her after Buck goes? I mean,
Right.
she's not interested in anybody.
Nope.
Daisy,
Nope.
be honest. Women can fixate on one man and have that man in their heart for a long time. Yeah.
Yes.
well, I think it goes. Well, I think that could be true either way. I think it meant
Oh, yes.
as women too when
Yeah.
it happens. So, well, let's take. We got a few more minutes here before we're going to wrap up, and then we're going to start a different stream. We're going to go squirreling a little bit tonight with my friends. We've kicked the Cosmic Whiz Kid around really quite more than we even planned on. With this episode, though, in the last remaining minutes, JT, Daisy are hungry. Are there any big points that y'all wanted to talk about this episode? I think we covered most of them that I had in my mind. I thought it was a very entertaining episode. I think it was definitely better than Whiz Kid. It did feel rushed, especially at the end, and seemed kind of have another convenient ending where Buck walks off the ship. But when are we really going to see a real Ardala fight? Things like that. It was not a bad episode. It was definitely better than Cosmic Whiz Kid, but it still had a lot of holes in it. I mean, she could have had two guys right there, and two guys did not make one thing. So either one, he blew her ship up last time. But so in the last few minutes, I want to make sure, is there anything that we have not talked about that y'all really want to talk about with this episode before we kind of wrap up with our overall feelings on it?
I did want to ask the rest of the panel, well, as it applies, would you have run away like Buck, or would you have married Ardala?
Well, Daisy's going to have to imagine she's a man to answer that, but I'm going to let her answer first.
Well, if it's reversed and I have to marry
the
Arnold
male version
instead of Ardala, I'll marry Arnold to save the world. Yeah.
Okay.
See, I would I'm not sure. I'd fight against it as much as possible, kind of like what Buck did, because there's no guarantee I could have married them and then they would have still destroyed it. There's no guarantee that they're going to honor what they said. So
that's a good point.
But okay.
On my from where I'm coming from, a lot of cultural intermarriages have happened in my family. Some significantly different cultures have married in my family. So I see how things can turn around after only 2 years, and how the emotional and psychological and empathic dynamics can change very much after 2 years. Even if someone comes from a family where they were raised with parents with PTSD from a certain war, things can change very drastically if you have the right, I don't like the way this sounds, the right touch. The gentle touch is what we refer to it as in my family. You need the gentle touch, not the slap, but the gentle touch. And you can bring very ferocious people to a gentle level given time, unless they are so damaged they can't do that. But here's the advantage, and this is why I'm going to go with the JT thing and also the Daisy thing. I would marry her in a second to save my country, but I would find things to love about her, and I could truthfully say these things I would love about Ardala in order to help bring her around to a better way of being, and not be just the princess daughter of a despot, a tyrant. And try to, because this also happened historically. Okay, this happened with Queen Victoria and Alfred, the love of her life. She fell in love with Alfred. She was never going to marry anyone other than Alfred. Alfred was the one who brought Christmas trees to England. He made a lot of cultural changes. He was the one who made sure that London had sewers, for God's sake. He made a lot of changes, and so the change is possible. The possible change is itself possible. So JT, Great points. Great question. And yeah, I would definitely go for the marriage, but that would not have as much pew pews and pseudo kung fu kicks as we need for Dadman.
No, I know. I know this. It lacked the pew pews, I think, in this episode. So I thought it was effective, but not the best. But let's go ahead and wrap up here. Daisy or JT, any last thoughts?
No, other than I would say I completely agree with Hungry, and I agree with Daisy as well.
All right.
So
Daisy, any
I guess
last
3-1.
Hey, any last thoughts,
So-
Daisy, with this one?
No, I'm good.
Okay. But we can all agree that it was better than Cosmic Whiz Kid, right?
Oh God.
Oh,
Okay.
hands
All right,
down.
just making sure. Okay. Just making sure. Well, folks, that's it. We're at a minute. We're at hour 40. We got 6 of y'all still watching us. Thank you for coming in. We ended up getting like I think about 15 likes. I mean, really good episode. I mean, especially for the Friday before a Christmas holiday. Actually, we got 14 likes here. We had people come through. Thank y'all for being here. What we're going to do is we're going to end this stream now, and we're going to do another stream. And I'm going to put that link right here, right now in the chat because folks.
Same channel, people. Same channel.
Yep, Dadman Walking 55. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right here, and you can go over there and watch it. We'll stay up. We're going to squirrel some. We're going to look at some Christmas memes. We're going to chase around. We'll see whatever. Hey, man, you're still here, Maddie's daddy, and I sent you the link in case you want to join us. In case you want to join us, Thor, you have it. Thank you for being here still. Daisy,
Steve.
JT, Kirk, everybody, you're welcome to come over there with that. Thank y'all again for another Friday night. And I'm going to not do all the self-promotions on the way out because I'll do that over at the other stream. But I do say, JT, while I'm talking, can you put the misses in one more time for me, please?
Certainly.
Thank y'all for being here. We love this on Friday nights. Thank y'all for being here with us. These episodes, I think we go too much longer. We probably would just go in circles because they're really, I think overall they kind of moved the stories a little bit, but they didn't really, they were kind of meh when you look back at it. But hey,
dude, the thing about squirreling is if there's anything that comes into somebody's head on the next stream, they can just say it. It's not like we can't talk about Buck Rogers a bit more on the next stream.
Exactly. So check the misses out. Check her channel on YouTube there. And although you say goodnight for this stream, buddy, let's hope to see y'all over there in just a couple minutes. And everybody, thank you again. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we will catch you later. Bye, everyone.
Nighty-o.